Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It
Force.
is very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
And pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one. Welcome all. Welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. Our producer for the night show, the great maestro himself, Mr. Krishno Jones. We're coming to you live via Love 97 FM. This is Tuesday, the 16th day of December, 2025. And if it's a Tuesday, you know the deal. It's maritime. Tick, 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 tick. Matters. Tonight, we got a loaded show for you. As you know, or you don't know, you'll know now. Tonight is our last night for the year 2025. We encourage that if you're driving and tuned in with us, please do so cautiously and ensure to take your time in getting wherever it is you are trying to get safely. As the saying goes, drive to arrive alive. Our sponsors for tonight's show, you know the two. 101 Pharmacy, and up in Freeport, Island Care Pharmacy. Second sponsor for the night, Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, and at BMC, we provide a full slate of ISPS Maritime Security Services. Good night, Auntie May. You all know I leaving my Auntie May out. That's my good old Auntie May up there in Freeport, 92 years old and going strong. Strong. Well, this year's soon finished, so Auntie May will be 93 and counting on to 100. Right, Auntie May? Auntie May said, boy, glad you know how we're rolling. And she know she rolling with gas. We have to roll with solar soon, eh? We switch it over from gas to solar. So Auntie May could be rolling with solar soon. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, we got a loaded show. And tonight, we recapitulate the major subjects discussed during this year and what action may have been taken surrounding those maritime events. And we know ain't much happened. We can talk about them. Now, those of you who know something happened, please, 326-8255. That's the number to call. That's the number you can reach the show live and in living color. The discussion surrounding these hot topics should include the following. Employment of undocumented migrants. And we know that the top notch got to be undocumented migrants, because we got so many people in our here country working on a daily basis, making good money, but they don't have the first documentation to be here or to be employed here in the Bahamas. We ain't got no problem, so long as they do it the right way. Now, we got a lot who got the documentation, just like they have in the Cayman Islands. Cayman Islands have 1/3 of the population are Caymanians. The other 2/3 are foreigners with the licenses or the permits to take up all them jobs, because the Caymanians can't handle it. It's just too much work for them. And there's only a handful of them. Okay, so we got the same situation going on here. We have a lot of work. We have a lot of work that the Bahamians don't really want to take up, or the Bahamians aren't qualified to handle. So we need help. Now, we don't mind you coming in to give us help, but let's do it right. We don't want you coming in here looking to take over our jobs without getting the requisite documents you need. We don't want you coming in here taking over our jobs with the view of, I want to be a Bahamian so I could have equal rights to get these jobs. And that's how we want to roll, right? So our biggest topic is the employment of undocumented migrants. Not dealing with undocumented migrants from a migrant perspective. Because I don't blame them. If I in a country and we have in turmoil, for example, let's say the Bahamas now, gangs take over, we start having turmoil, and I make a dash for another country. It could be Cuba, it could be Jamaica, it could be Haiti, it could be Dominican Republic, it could be Barbados, it could be anywhere. I make a dash because I figure they're doing better than us, and at least I could wake up the next morning without worrying about somebody barging in, breaking in my house and killing up me and my family. Right? So I go and I try to get my family after me, because I want everybody safe. But when I get there, I can try to wake. I need to wake. I want to live. I leave home just to come here and try to have somebody take over me or whatever, or wait for me. No, I want to wake. So you can't really blame these people who coming into our country and trying to find work. But we got to blame those who enabling them to get here without being documented. We got to blame those who hiring them without ensuring that they have the prerequisite documentation to hire them. And that's really what we want to deal with, eh? And that's why this smugglers bill that we were all talking about. The smugglers bill is saying the people who were smuggled here, or the people who smuggle away here, or the people who even pay to come here can be impacted or affected, or they have to pay the how much money they say, boy? Must see $50,000 and 15 years in jail or something like that. No! Because them people trying to make a better life, and I don't, anywhere in the world people go to try and make a better life, I don't think they should be held accountable for that. Well, of course, you could hold accountable to people who try the system and getting the, because that's an illegal, come on, man, you can't just be going around the world making money off people like that, right? So those are the ones we need to focus on. So, we want to focus on the employer to the extent that if you employ somebody and they don't have the prerequisite work permit, or they're not a Bahamian, first of all, and then they don't have the prerequisite work permit, and you are caught, they're caught on your job, or we could verify that you had them employed, then we want to send you to Fox Hill Prison, because our Immigration Act tells us that the penalty for hiring that person without the requisite documentation is, I think it's $3,500 fine. A very low, big fine, but or 2 years imprisonment, or both the fine and the imprisonment. So pick one. We ain't worrying about you paying that $3,500, We want you to taste one day in Foxhall, so you even ain't gonna consider and other people see you go to jail, they gonna let go to say who they have, unless they have the requisite documentation or work permit to be able to be employed in the capacity that they hire them in. And that's another thing, capacity. So we talk with this left, right, and center all year long, and then you all know it. Although ain't much of y'all sending in no comments or calling in to say, boy, I know so-and-so, or I see so-and-so, or this immigration officers do so-and-so. And some of y'all immigration officers out there listening to me right now, I know. And y'all wouldn't call in to say, boy, immigration trying, but we have a little crossroad and little stops here, and because we know it's on the books. Y'all ain't need no law to say, do this. The law says that if somebody employs an undocumented worker, they face a $3,500 fine plus 2 years imprisonment, either or both. But if you know about somebody who went to jail recently or was fined at $3,500 recently for hiring an undocumented worker, any case in court, because they'd have to go to court first. Any of the lawyers know anything about this? Any of the prosecutors? I know some of y'all is listening to the show. Any prosecutor, call in and let us know. Yeah, two people for the year so far. Well, yeah, almost finished. One person I remember. Not one, zero, zilch. Why? Why do we have this law on the books? And we, the Bahamian people, know that many of them are being hired that don't have work permit for the area they're being hired. Because some of them compete with us as electricians and plumbers and bus boys and taxi drivers and jitney drivers and hackers. And we know they ain't got no documentation for that. Because most of them would have a documentation. If they have a documentation, most of those documentation will be handyman, gardener, and they are specifically linked to certain individual who hiring them or who signed for them. And that individual supposed to make sure that they are only doing what that piece of paper or work permit say they're supposed to be doing. So reality is, when you see them doing these other things outside of those two areas in particular, then we have to wonder, who hiring them? Does these people know they could get locked up for hiring them? Are the authorities on to any of these people or checking for any? Because I want you to know the authorities know, They know some of these food stores hiring people who are undocumented. They know some of these gas stations hiring people who are undocumented. Because where they can get a work permit to say they could be working in the food store. As a shelf boy, as a packing boy, as an assistant manager, or anything else. It ain't happening. So, I know some of y'all don't like me, and I really don't care. Because at the end of the day, I can say what I think. I can say what I think is appropriate. And if somebody could call me and check me on it, I will be more than happy to apologize and make that adjustment. If somebody could call me and tell me, boy, you're right on point, I'll be happy to hear that too. So you all don't be shy. 326-8255 is the number to call. And we go on to say we can focus on the majority of people in country. They say, don't come to me, but, that Haitian boat reached and they land and they had 200 that's reached. Man, what happened to the 100,000 that we already have here? You worrying about the wrong thing? Why do you think they're still coming here? Because the 200,000 who are already here, making out pretty good. And if they wasn't making out pretty good, they would leave and go somewhere else. Or they wouldn't have come here to begin with because it's closer to go to Cuba. It's closer to go to Jamaica. So why they could come all the way to Nassau? Because they know where all the slackness lie. They know our immigration authorities ain't gonna put no pressure on the people who hire them. They know that they could make a whole good bunch of money and send it home and build their mansions at home so when they're ready to retire, they go home and live like a king. And I don't blame them. Why should I blame them? They know that they could come here and overcrowd our school system with their kids because it's all free and we ain't checking. They know that they could go to the hospital and have the highest volume of people in the hospital getting attention for little or nothing. And they know. So these are things we need to fix for people who should be here. People who have work permit. People who have residency. People who are Bahamians. People who are non-Bahamians but have the requisite. And the hospital should start asking for these things. I mean, I assume they should. I don't know if they do. I don't think they do. Because if they do, plenty of these people wouldn't be getting no service, 326-8255. Any nurses out there? Any hospital administrators out there? What's going on in the hospital with these undocumented people? Are we obligated to give them service whether they document it or not? And we ain't want to take them and put them in a detention center. I mean, some people say, man, go to the church, go to the Asian church. No. We don't even want no detention center. Why don't we want any detention center? I see a call on the line. Boy, somebody calling this early? I don't know. Calling you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Good day, how you doing?
Top shape and getting better all the time, my friend. How are you?
I'm fantastically well. I just was flipping through and I catch a little snippet of what you were saying. You got to call out the elephant in the room, man.
Let's go. Tell me what's the elephant in the room.
You got to call out the elephant in the room is the government and the agents.
But they who I calling out, the immigration, they're the ones I talking about.
Yeah, because you are in the transportation business and you have, well, you got Jamaicans, you got Canadians, and you got Haitians. But you got the document that you required when you sign that paper. It says Bahamian, organic Bahamian.
Well, the transportation industry...
The transportation business that can't even speak English.
No, but the transportation industry in general, whether it be water sport, whether it be taxi, whether it be whatever it be, it's reserved for Bahamians. So that's a government policy. We ain't no argument about that. They shouldn't even be in those areas. They should not be able to even get... Well, first of all, I don't think immigration can issue them a work permit that violates the government's policy.
The elephant in the room is the road traffic department. I know Haitian people that can't speak English collecting pension.
Man, don't do it, man. Pension?
They telling you they collected NIB pension. Can't speak a lick of English.
Well, they may not be able to speak a lick of English, but did they contribute to the NIB while they were working and still ain't learning a lick of English? See, the thing is, who hired them all those years? You see, we got to now look at the people who hiring these people, lock them up for one day so that the rest can get the message and they can't even get no more job. What can happen if you in the country and you can't get a job because people scared to hire you? You getting somewhere else, eh?
Man, listen, the Haitians on the transportation business doing better than Bahamians.
Yeah, but who has checked them? Who to stop the bus to see who driving the bus and whether they are documented, whether if they're not Bahamian, whether they have... See, you're not going to get a work permit to drive a bus in the Bahamas because that will be violating... A government agency can give you something to violate the government policy. Yeah. So we already know that if they ain't speaking a lick of English, that means they probably ain't Bahamian and they done ain't get no work permit because immigration department is not going to give them a work permit to drive a jitney.
A couple of years ago or a year or two ago, they had taxi driver who's a Haitian can't speak English. The guest asked to go to Life with he take them to Paradise Island. That was in the news and the newspaper, and the man still driving today. Yeah, he driving today because he money right. Because we got the authorities who's supposed to be checking that. And I had a long talk with one of my friends today. He's a senior police officer, right? He's been in the police force for many, many years now. I had a long talk about him, about why certain things are being allowed. And he got me straight and plain. He said it ain't only the police force. It's all the government agencies are slack. He said the police is slack. In some cases... and he gave me an example. What example he gave me? He gave me an example with all the police riding on weekends to these funerals and stuff. He said, you know how much money they make? I said, man, I know you all have a police association, and that police association supposed to provide services where people need to be armed and stuff, where security companies probably can't deal with the matter. He said, no, but these people ain't going through no association. They ain't working for the police association. So they working privately for these funeral homes. I said, but how could they work privately for funeral home using government motorbike, government uniform, and all that? I say, so the commissioner of police ain't no nothing but to say. Because the senior police officers they approve people to work in the association. But now if you're going outside the association and you using government motorbike and you in government uniform and all that should be a no-no. That they should get locked up. But all in all, the elephant in the room is the government and the agencies. These people, like you say, you can't blame them, You got to blame the people who giving them the documents and hiring them. I
agree with you, but I also blame in the set who ain't going to lock up the people who hiring them. Who ain't going to lock them up. Because if I could get away with hiring them, I probably could hire them. But if I know my boy got locked up last week and he got a good business and he had to let all them go and I got a couple, you think I can keep them? No, they got to go.
Right.
And so the elephant in the room, like you say, is the authorities.
Yeah.
All over, in all government departments. We ain't leaving none out,
No.
None. Because all them doing foolishness or ain't pulling their weight and putting their foot down where they're supposed to.
Right.
Well, I can't say all, but I know quite a few.
Yeah.
Anyway, my brother, I appreciate your call, man. Feel free to call at any time and continue listening to Maritime Matters.
Yeah, sir.
Appreciate that call. That was the kind of call we like. See, he ain't never scared. He's something like me. What about you, Mr. Immigration Officer? I know you're listening. Where are you on this? What say you? You work for that department. You know things are going wrong. Man, I know you can't expose yourself because they ain't gonna want to promote you or they ain't gonna want. Man, let your neighbor or your buddy or somebody call, but give them the information to call it, and you ain't gonna be you. But we have to arrest this problem of having employers take on people who are undocumented, and they only doing it because they want to pay them less than they can pay if they have to do it properly. And that's the thing, This is all about greed, all about how I can cut my expenditure by hiring people who I can pay peanuts. Now, peanuts to that person may be a big deal because back home in their country, that's a lot of money they're making, while we may say it can't, because the cost of living in the Bahamas is so high that we can't live off that. But then think about the fella who, when that reached back to his home, that values so much more than he could make at home, right? He is living in an apartment with 10 other people. They sharing the apartment rent. He try to eat on the job or bring his food with him. He ain't buying nothing nowhere else. And I don't blame that person. Again, if push comes to shoving, I have to move on because things are so devastating in this Bahamas. I can take my chances and go too. And I can try to slip through the cracks too. And if the authorities slack, I can get whatever I can get and keep moving on. That's just the nature of human beings, eh? So I can't blame them. But we have authorities with obligation we paying every month to make sure certain things ain't happening. And we can't point to one case. We have a whole big immigration department. We can't point to one case where one employer was charged in court for hiring one undocumented worker. You don't think something wrong with that? And it is on our books? That's why I can talk to you, Mr. Immigration Officer or Miss Immigration Officer. Because you are responsible. Yes, you may say, oh, my boss, them ain't gonna let me do that. I don't care. But speak it. Let's talk it so they can start paying attention too. And some of y'all bosses listening too. I know y'all ashamed. Well, you should be ashamed because some of y'all ain't got no shame. Y'all got y'all big house and fancy car, and that's all y'all want. And we know who you are. So don't try play like you ain't nobody. Yeah, we know who you are. So before we move to our next topic, I just want to say that we don't need no detention center. Why would we need it? You see, we had a detention center now for a couple of years. Do you know how many people out of that detention center sued our government for malpractice? And they sued them because they were treated unfairly or inhumanely. I don't blame them. Oh, yeah, of course you sue them. But if you got a detention center with 300 people, all foreign, all undocumented, all you got to feed every day, all you got to have security to make sure they don't leave, all you got to make arrangement for them to fly back to their country, all you got to have workers, defense force and immigration officers on a 24-hour basis. You know how much that costs our country? And then when you compare that 300 against the 103,000 that are here who ain't locked up, why are you doing it? What are you trying to prove? Your problem ain't there. Your problem is the 103,000 outside that are only expanding and getting bigger and bigger because you ain't putting a grip on the people who hiring them. So, Mr. Government, when I say government, I'm not speaking to no administration in particular. Because this thing go across the boards to 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, from Mr. Lawfus Roker days. May his soul rest in peace. This go all the way back there, you know. And we still doing the same foolishness. Catching them, holding them, but we ain't touching the people who are employing them. So, 2026, albeit is an election year, is also a year when we need to focus on the employers of these undocumented workers. We need to focus, like my caller just said, on areas where we know they can't even get permit to work, but they're working every day. The police doing roadblocks, checking tents, checking licenses, which is fine. But when you start doing roadblocks in conjunction with the road traffic department, to check who driving these taxis, are they documented? Check who driving these jitneys. Are they documented? I need to stop getting on the police, because it ain't only the police, man. Come on. The police is one department, but I mean, there's a crucial one, right? But we got the immigration department, we got the customs department, and I ain't telling you what customs ain't doing, because all of us know what customs ain't doing, right? We got road traffic department, we got the defense force, we got the prison department, and then they smuggling drugs, and then when they know the people in there ain't supposed to have drugs. Who you think smuggling them? The officers. Well, that's what they tell me. I ain't got no proof. But that's what I keep hearing. How else they can get it? Anyway, I digress again. Next topic, local safety certificate implementation. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. My producer for the night, Mr. Krishno Jones. And I can tell you something. I am a little warm under the... I can get hot in a minute. I close to hot, right? But we are recapitulating what maritime situation still exists while we are addressing them all along. And we ain't saying no improvement. But you know what? Ain't nobody can stop us from talking with them. And we can talk with them more and more and more until they start doing something. If you want in on this conversation, 326-8255. That's the number to call. I'll be happy to take your call. And you could give your views on this. I know some of you are listening, and some of you all have views. You ain't got to be scared. Just call. 326-8255. We have a situation in this country where all vessels that operate within the Bahamas, which make them non-soulless ships or non-soulless vessels, you can't apply soulless to them in other words. Soulless is the big convention called Safety of Life at Sea that really you apply to international ships where the safety standards for life-saving equipment, radio equipment, the hull, the load line, all those things are taken into account, right? So they have surveyors that survey those big ships every year. But we got a call on the line. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Thanks for calling.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. I want to tell the man thank you for talking.
Oh, my darling, you make me feel so good. Yeah, you talking to the man, and I thank you for calling and telling me thank you.
Yeah, I'm from Bahamian. I born here.
Yeah, that's what I talking about.
I never thought Nelson would get like this.
Man, we bad off, eh?
What we bad off, eh?
Yeah, we bad off. How we get so?
And Mom and Papa, them in the graveyard, they spurred us be flying over this place to see how foreigners come in the country and take the place over.
Yeah, but the problem is Mama and Papa make sure we was disciplined, but we didn't make sure our children was disciplined. I in my 60s, I don't know how old you is, but...
76?
Yeah, but we ain't make sure our children was disciplined, so how we can blame mama and papa? We got them rolling over.
No, what I'm saying with Mama and Papa them fight for that, so, and they didn't want no foreigners to come and take us over.
Yeah, I agree with that now. But over the years, we just allow it to just get slack, eh?
Yeah.
You remember when the immigration officer used to be coming through our yard running?
Haitians, I'm talking, but they is Bahamian and talking Creole. How you could be Bahamian and talking Creole?
Well, if you get a document, say you used to be him, you can't blame them. How they get the document?
Child, only God one.
But you know they get that from a Bahamian, right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we just slack.
And then Bahamians need to run and try to take this country over, man.
Well, I think we still in charge of the country, but we just slack and we teensy. We like teens.
Yeah, that
right?
bothered me.
But we gotta start dealing with these people who employing them.
I blind, you know.
You know any employers who's employed them that been locked up any time in the past?
Child, right now, I never mix up with them. But I know one thing. Haitians, it wasn't plenty Haitians here when I was growing up as a child, you know.
Yeah, but Haitians...
You know who was running this place? What you call them people who still be down Bay Street with a restaurant?
Oh, you mean the Pakistan, well, the Indians and them? No.
No, I forget what their name, man. But they used to handle that for, man.
Yeah, but we need to handle it.
You see how these Haitians come and want to take over?
Well, I can't blame them if they're allowed to do it. You can't put the blame on the people who because the law is in place for us to stop it. We just ain't applying our law.
Yeah, that's true.
We just slack.
And then another thing again, you all is Bahamians, you all got to fight for the country.
Well, how you can fight if you call a protest like Mr. Lincoln Bain did on numerous occasions, and you can't get 0.1% of Bahamians to come out, and then you talking about issues that we need to address, and that's the only way you could do it.
The foreigners out, the Bahamian people as well look like.
I think no foreigners, Bahamian people just think they got it too good now. They just don't realize they need to get together and protest certain things because everybody figuring, well, man, I doing all right. I ain't worrying, but all of that. You see, sometimes countries have to be pushed to the extent where they suffering in order to protest as a group. And we ain't reached it yet, and I don't know when we can get there or if we can get there, but guess what? We need to be strong like those European countries, although they had years and decades and centuries.
God can fix it, you know.
Man, God only can fix what God can empower us to fix it. God tell you faith without works is dead. So we gotta be prepared to do some things. You can't sit back and say God can fix it.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I mean, we can say that, but God don't like ugly.
Yeah, I understand. You're a Bahamian. I know you all.
That's a true Bahamian.
I know you all voice. You're a Bahamian. The one who talking on the radio, he's a Bahamian too.
You talking to the one who talking on the radio. You live, you know, everybody could hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, you talking to the one on the radio. That's who you're talking to right now.
Yeah, you're a good person. That's why I had to come in.
Lord. Thank you so much, darling. Flattery with me gets you everywhere.
You know what I want them to do? You humble too. You let me talk long.
Yeah, well,
I want them to do.
It's a call-in show for people like you.
I want them to take the people them off the road. The Joneses, them, man. To take them off the road and to clean them up, man.
Yeah, we got a handful of them.
Look into that, man. They go at people, like drugs get them like that. We ain't had no drugs like that when I was growing up as a child.
Yeah, drugs like that, but there was an abuse in it, like how they abuse it.
Jesus.
You know?
And some of them look like wolf out on Shirley Street. They hair full of balloon here. I want the Prime Minister to hear what I say. They hair full of balloon here, man. They need to do something with God, people. God in please with that.
I agree with you.
I serious, man.
Thank you so much.
And how cold it is, and people ain't have no place to look. I needed to talk and things like that, man. They got to do something, man.
Yeah, but you know, sometime I'll tell you what I know in some of those cases, right? Not all. But in some of those cases, those families come and they get their people and they carry them home. And when they look left and look right, man, the person out the house gone back because they want to live free. They even want to be in the house where they have shelter and food and all that. They won't be out there living like that.
Yeah, man, they got to do something.
But you can't. Ain't nothing you could do with some of them.
They out there. What kind of feelings these people get for one another? If you see Mr. Marla Butler was living, that one being like that. I grew up in the poem too.
Oh, you was right. There. You know about retirement park and all that.
I 76.
Oh, yeah, you know what time it is.
I born 1949, the 8th of July.
Now, you got me by 2 years, but you're good.
Yeah,
Thanks,
man.
thanks so much for calling and
God go with
expressing.
you, yeah?
Thank you, darling. I appreciate you
right.
so much. Wonderful call that was. I appreciate that, lady. Ladies and gentlemen, again, you're listening to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. And we going to talk and talk and talk because we got a lot to cover. This is the end of the year, and we got them laid out. We were out talking about local safety certificate implementation. And we was talking about those ships, those vessels out there that don't come under no international regulations like SOLAS and MARPOL and STCW and all the rest of them, right? But they're out there every day. They could be a nuisance. And there's an obligation by law under the Merchant Shipping Act, which is supposed to be governed and implemented by the Bahamas Maritime Authority, that each one of those vessels should be issued a local safety certificate. And people may say, oh, you keep talking about this old local safety. Yes, I keep talking about this old local safety certificate because you know what that represents? That represents that the vessel have to meet a certain minimum standard that most of them out there ain't meeting today. And that minimum standard for you to be issued a local safety certificate will include simple things like you got proper radio and they're working and you just have them audited or inspected and every year before you could get this local safety certificate. That means that you have people on board these commercial vessels that are certified and qualified to be captain or able seaman. You need qualified people working on these vessels. And I am talking really about the commercially operated vessels, the ones that are carrying passengers, the ones that are carrying cargo. Because we don't want the boat sink with our cargo on it, and then we know they ain't got no insurance to begin with. And that's another thing. They need to prove insurance. Well, let's do that under the Port Department for the most part. I must say, right? The commercial vessels is do that. But we want to know that they're going to be surveyed to ensure that the safety equipment, life raft, lifeboat, rescue boat if they need rescue boat, life jackets, bilge pumps, that the safety equipment are appropriately employed on board. We want to know that their load line, which meaning the strength of the hull, the covering or sealing of the hatch doors on board the vessel and whatnot if they got to go through rough weather water and getting in the ship, right? These load line stuff have to be taken care of. The non-pollution stuff, you got to make sure they ain't throwing stuff in the water while they're out to sea in the middle of the night. They ain't pumping their bilge in the water. They're not, straight the bilgy water in the sea, right? They ain't when they changing the oil, they ain't putting the waste oil in the water. And that comes under something called IOPP, right? International Oil Pollution Prevention Plan. And it don't have to be up to the standard of the international IOPP, but we have to have some standards to give you a local safety certificate to ensure that you actually discarding of your things in an appropriate manner. And these are some of the things at a minimum standard that have to be taken care of based on an annual survey. And it don't exist. So what we need to make sure, first of all, is that the BMA maps out what the local safety certificate looks like. Maps out areas to endorse that certification on a given year, because usually those certifications are good for 5 years, but every year they got to be endorsed to say everything's still up to standard, eh? And to get that endorsed, you again have to have a survey by a qualified surveyor. Now, who are going to be these qualified surveyors to issue a local safety certificate on behalf of the BMA. These are going to be people who went to maritime school, understand safety on board ships, wake on vessels, either while they was in school training or before they went off and do the maritime training. And then, so they to get the certification, you would have had to go through certain things with ships. And then, when you get that certification, you could be put in the hat and you could apply to be a surveyor on non-solar ships. And we got a whole heap of persons who would have gone through the requisite exposure to be able to conduct a survey on a small vessel. And they have courses which you could do online to become a small vessel surveyor. So while we're going to need, say, 200 small vessel surveyors, we got a lot more than that around town with the prerequisite experience and qualification to be able to be knighted as a small boat surveyor. And these small boats could find any one of them surveyors to survey their boats on an annual basis or to issue that local safety certificate on behalf of BMA. And then, as a country, we can say we have shifted the paradigm from having a bunch of non-solar ships or vessels that don't meet any minimum standards to now not having any, because if they're not meeting the standards, they can be hauled before the courts and fined and jailed and fined or jailed or both. And that's how our laws work. So it's already on the books under the Merchant Shipping Act. It needs to be implemented by the BMA. They need to ensure that that is implemented because they are the custodians to ensure that that happens. And I know they ain't checking. They ain't never was checking for that local safety because that called for a lot of work that they don't want to do. And they could hire a company to put the material together for them, you know. They can even hire a company to solicit and find qualified surveyors if they don't want to do it. But they need to do something. We need to get this implemented. We had years and years of no standards. But yet, you have a fleet of over 1,600 ships that are meeting all the international standards. So you can't tell me you ain't know how to do it. You know how to manage a fleet. Because I don't even know if we got 1,600 boats, you would need that. But yet we got ships going all around the world being managed by class under the behest of the BMA to ensure safety measures are being maintained based on the international law standards like the SOLAS and the MAPOL and the STCW and the load line and the tonnage and all the rest of them. So I know, ain't nobody can fool me. I used to apply them myself. So yes, we need to engage a local safety certificate implementation so that our country can be more safe when it comes to maritime transportation within the Bahamas. Another big topic here is Porter's Key Dock dilemma. And we gotta have a discussion about things that are out of whack in our country when it comes to maritime matters and not talk about the dilemma at Porter's Key Dock. Because we have had unfettered chaos for decades at Porter's Key Dock. And I ain't trying to exclude myself because I used to be deputy port controller. And Porter's Key Dock was a mess from then, boy, but it wasn't like it is now, eh? Over time, it just got worse and worse and worse till right now it's nothing but a chaos. I remember the days when Mr. Leon Flowers, one of my mentors in Maritime, Mr. Leon Flowers had that Porter's Key dock well in check. Excuse me. Well in check to the extent that if his name is called on the dock, boat owners would tremble. And I know this for a fact. I talked to boat owners who told me that, yes, Mr. Leon Flowers, whenever they find out he on the dock, everybody trying to put things together because they know they can catch help. Because mail boats back then tried to do the right things. You see, we didn't have all these international requirements and domestic. Well, we ain't got much domestic requirements except we don't implement the one called a local safety certificate to make them up to certain standards, right? But the dock itself, the amount of sunken ships, that continue to happen at Porter's Key Dock. Why would a ship sink while it's at Porter's Key Dock? And I know I'm no little small boat now. We don't, but ships, but when they sink, you need to employ all kind of means to get them up and out of the way. And then we have one or two that sink over a year ago and still sitting there on the bottom. And other boats can't even use the dock because they're in the way. And nobody crying shame. I believe I shame for some of them. I shame for some of them. But nothing changes because we still have the potential for more vessels or ships to sink while at the dock. Why? I'll tell you why. Simply because there are no standards being applied for that ship to remain at the dock. You get vessels. The law tells us under the Port Authority. Yeah, can I happen to know that? The law tells us that no unoperational ship should be at the dock. Do you have any idea how many ships are at Porter's Key Dock and haven't operated for years? They're just sitting there day in and day out. And they ain't paying nobody for being there while they even ain't supposed to be there. Because the entities that are responsible for ensuring that they are not there are not making them move. And I may say that, right? And let me qualify that a little bit. Because, and I can be the one to say it, many of those vessels that's sitting at that dock and they ain't moving, the port department can't get to move. Because they make one call to the big shots, the people who hired in the government departments, like the ministry official and the politicians, and they can't be touched. Do you have any idea what that means? They can't be touched. Because if I am the port controller or the deputy port controller or the dock master and I try to touch them, and I get a call from certain politicians say, look here, don't fool with that. Leave that alone. I got that. What am I supposed to do? These are people who could give me instructions. And I tell the Minister of Transport, who I report to, that I want to move them, but so-and-so say don't move them. And then the Minister of Transport tells me, well, look, I can look into it. And don't get back to me. And when I call the Minister of Transport 3 months later, oh, yeah, I still looking into it. What could I do? I can't do nothing but allow them to stay there. But, here's the big but. Is that the case with every single one of those vessels that have been sitting on that dock for years? I don't believe it's the case. Some of those owners die and the boat's still there. And the boat ready to sink, You think anybody can move it? And then you have some of them that were not mail boats ever. And they sitting on that dock and they ain't moving because they can't move. They have engines out and this and that and the next. You have commercial boats out there that are not mail boats. So you got big fishing boats out there where mail boats supposed to be, but they can't use the dock because the fishing boat's taking up space. And when I say fishing boats, they're talking about dock space after dock space after dock space with just fishing boats. And they feel comfortable because I don't know if they paying somebody off so they could be so comfortable, or because I'm not sure that they can call on somebody to tell the Minister of Transport or the port controller, leave that alone. I can see that with the mailboats. Because now remember, those mailboats are connected with family islands that need that service. And somehow, these mailboat owners, they don't only carry the mail bag. They are the top influencers for the people of that island. And we know when politics come around, whoever have more influence on the people will have their say. So if I am one of your generals, and you're the MP for this area, and that's why I am one of your generals, because you want me to be one of your generals, because you know the people look up to me because I am the one carrying the mail bags, and I am there every week, and I'm the one who liaising with them, with bringing things, and I can do them favors and all the rest of that. And if you give me a call and say, do that one a favor, I do that one a favor. How the port department could touch me? They can't touch me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I say Porter's Key is in a dilemma. It's unfettered chaos, sunken vessels all over the place. What about all those containers? Those containers that clogging up the driveway, that basically just giving you space enough to pass. And some of them sitting there for months and years, never moves. And they ain't paying a dime. Isn't that a problem? Yes, it is a problem. But who's doing anything about it? And I don't think the owners of those containers are making calls to say, don't let the port department touch my containers. I just think that the port department isn't putting enough pressure to make them move those containers on a daily basis, taking record of those that are still there, how much they have to pay, and all the rest of that. That's what I think. Now, I get plenty good friends in the port department. I will be happy for one of my good friends in the port department to give me a call on the show or off the show and say, yes, we're dealing with those containers. They being charged $10 a day or $20 a day or $50 a day, and here is where they're paying, or they're not paying and getting put in court. They know that we're checking on them. Because these people, in my opinion, they seem comfortable to leave. Some of those containers don't move. Just like some of those boats don't move. So yes, there is chaos when it comes to containers remaining overnight with no accountability at Porter's Key Dock. Office outlets, they still on Porter's Key Dock. You get most of these boat or companies that own boats have their headquarters, their office out there on the dock. Why? On whose authority? That should never be. The dock is not out there for officers to be operating, for people to be bringing things and bucking to go on vessels. No, you go over the hill and have your office where people will come and bring stuff and you take it from them. And when you're ready for them to go on the boat, you put them in containers and drive them out to the dock. That's how it should be. This is something new. Brand new. When I was in the port department, that didn't exist. But over the years, it was developed. Now, almost every mailboat company out there have a stall on the dock that they say is there over. And they got people coming out there on an ongoing basis to bring things and to pick things up and all that. Man, not make it too much congestion on Port-of-Ski dock. And we need to move them away from there over the hill so that the congestion could be at their location, someplace over the hill. And when they're ready to come out there, they coming out there with everything in the container just to drive on and off the ship. So containers wouldn't need to stay on the dock to begin with. People wouldn't need to be coming on Port-of-Ski dock and clogging up because you got a lot of merchants. Man, I remember the other day I was driving out on I think it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was a Wednesday morning. Could have been a Tuesday. And you know where the new bridge traffic light is right there by where Defense Force, where Basra and them is, right? The traffic was back up all the way to Basra. The line to go on Port-of-Ski dock because the dock was flooded and crowded with people and they couldn't get out there until some leave and then they could go out. And this is absurd. But when you have people going out there to pick up stuff, because that's where the office is, and they got the stuff out there in trailers, to drop off stuff, because that's where the office is, and people going directly to the mailboat from DL Beaners and all these other wholesale manufacturers who sending things to the family islands and taking them straight to the boat. You got long line of traffic and congestion going on because most of this stuff could happen over the hill at the office or the headquarters of these different companies. And people wouldn't need to be going on the dock to carry things. People wouldn't need to go on the dock to pick up things because they could pick it up from the headquarters over the hill, eh? Now, is this going to happen anytime soon? I don't know. But I know I can make noise until something happens. I don't even think they get in the plans. But who am I? That's what the song say. The young gal sugar? No, I am Captain Glenn Bain, and I am here to call it out. They don't like it? Tell them call the show and tell me they don't like it. Those who think I did a good job, well, I just had one call a lady say, boy, you're doing a good job. I saw like when you on the thing talking these days, somebody got to be pointing them out. And then the gentleman called earlier to talk about how you got all these undocumented people driving jitneys and taxis and stuff like that. So I ain't think I'm wasting my time. Sometimes I won't think so, but people just tell me, no, man, you got to keep that going because, boy, somebody need to be talking these things. And we gotta move to break in a minute, but let me just finish with us. This Port-of-Ski thing, boy, because we got a couple more big topics to cover too, right? When we come from the break. I must get rush some of them because I only got an hour and a half. My producer says he's not gonna give me 2 hours today. He's gonna give me an hour and a half and 3 minutes over, if necessary. That's how we rolling, right? So we got, as we were saying, but Port-of-Ski, it's unfettered chaos going on there. We got sunken ships. We got containers remaining for weeks and months, sitting there in everybody's way. We got nobody having their outlets over the hill. Everybody trying to do their everything on the dock, which really causing a big congestion and huge backups. Plus, you got people who just want to go there for lunch. They can't get out there no more, right? So the fellas who selling us, they get you out. Because the people who want to come for lunch got to go somewhere else. They can't tow that line and get out there and eat and be back to work within an hour. That's a joke. The commercial fishing vessels are occupying most of the spaces out there. Well, not most. Let me pull that back. At least 40%. Right? Because they taking up a lot of the north of that fishing complex. All of this. Plus the whole southern strip of dock on the eastern side. And on the western side. It's fishing boats. That dock was put there for mail boats. Fishing boats supposed to be on the causeway selling their fresh fish. How much fishing boats you see on the causeway these days? Absolutely none, because we got all kind of stalls in the way. When I was small and growing up and you go on Port-of-Ski, what you saw? No stalls. All you saw was fishing boats selling conch and goggle eye and snapper and this and that and the next. Now you go there, you can't see none of them little dinghies out there or them little houseboat they had selling the stuff that you could just go and get your stuff and take it home with you. All them gone. All them is replaced by these lunch stalls. I don't know how come it happened, but it is what it is. So perhaps they need to just put a marina in place to deal with the fishing boats, right? Allow them space in that marina. And that marina could be right there to the southeastern section of where the exchange is, right? Right there to northwest of the causeway. You know where the bathrooms are. Yeah, just by the bathroom there. You got some fishing boats there, but you could actually put a marina there where you will send out slips, and you could take 10 times more vessels than what are there now. And most of them were on the southern side, on the eastern side, or the dock where the mail boat's supposed to be. Turn those spaces into ramps and allow the mail boats to use them. And that's my 2 cents on that, right? And that, I think it makes plenty sense, although it's only 2 cents for me. Then Porter's Key dilemma will be under a little bit of control. It wouldn't be as chaotic. And we, as users of Porter's Key, because we want to go to the little restaurant, or we want to go buy conch and fish, or we want to do this, or we do it, the congestion ain't going to be there. Because all these little offices out there would cause all that traffic. Could be over the hill. All those containers would stay in there for weeks and months. Could be over the hill. And that's how we need to roll with that. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. My producer for the night, Mr. Kishno Jones. We are going to run to a break. Well, we'll walk. We ain't running tonight. We'll walk to a break. When we come back, we got some big topics that we still need to cover, as this is our very last night for 2025. Maritime Tick, Tick, Tick Matters. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're all tired of hearing my voice tonight. You're listening. Welcome back to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and we have a caller live on the line. Caller, you're on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Compliments to the citizen, to the man who grew me up, the man who watched me running around, bombing down barefoot.
Hey, Brother Muff. What's happening, Mr. Muff? How are you, sir?
Yeah, man, I just so sitting there. This is the last show, man. Excellent job on all your shows for the year. And just looking forward to God's grace to Maritime Matters in 2026.
Yes, my brother, I appreciate that so much, but I hear from you for a little while, man. Why are you talking to me like that?
Man, look here, I had the time still mixed up with the Thursday night, man.
Oh, yeah.
But when you call in and say the barge and Abaco and thing and say the time again, and I say, yeah, man, Glenn, it's Tuesday, it's there tonight now. I had to put that in the computer. I had to sort of like in the computer now, so it's there. Everything's there now.
No, but it always used to be Tuesday, you know. Marlon Johnson's be on Thursday.
Yeah, you see, yeah, but you remember your first time in when you was later, you was at 5 o'clock.
No, I used to be 7:30 to 9, that's right.
Right, yeah, so I still had that timing on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My apology.
But what I called about was, we got to make you Prime Minister, man. We got to make you Prime Minister and get Porter's Key fixed.
I want to be Prime Minister, but you can make me Prime Minister just for one day so I can fix some of these things.
For real, because what I'm saying, I did it the other day.
Oh, that's a mess, eh?
Your topic, you had this couple of times, and you didn't talk with it so much time, and I know they've been listening.
Yeah.
And you're right, that you can hear a lot of entrance or something, man. Because, you know, all of the line, like you said, on the bar, the people cutting in, and then some people asking you to come in, and some people forcing you in. Yeah. And then a long line, and then if you're going west or you're going east, don't be going west.
Oh, yeah, you're in trouble.
And then I talked on your show about this before.
That's right.
So the only way look like we can get this fixed is they let us be listening. And, you know, the 2025, then 2026, it's really still too backwards for them, man. If you have a double lane entrance going in there, another entrance, we got to make something even across the water or something, man.
No, it ain't the entrance, you know, Muff. What it is a lot of activities happening out there that really could be over the hill. They need that all them people coming out there to bring freight. You carry freight. When you remember tropical shipping and seaboard marine, and when you go to pick up your stuff, you go to wherever the office and thing is, right?
Yeah, pioneer them.
Like the mailboat. The mailboat right now have an office right there in Oaksfield in the back of Kentucky, in the back of McDonald's and them, right? If they could utilize that, because they got a big warehouse there.
That's true.
For people to come and drop things off and pick things up, and they just let the container go between there and the ship and make everybody do that.
Right.
And so the only people who gotta go dinner, if me and you want to go there for some seafood for lunch, right? The people who wake on the boats. Because you can't go to the carry freight or pick up freight no more. So that'll alleviate 70% of the crowd of just like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the case up in the Freeport, the ship, the Freeport, and then like you say, Marcus, when to move the container ports and all them from downtown, like up in Fire Trail Road and everything. I mean, you said making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And they're better to go to a central area where and all the traffic is. And like you say, you can start just before that too, so you gave me a account for it or something. You got to tow all the line just to get there. You know,
time is time.
What time will you get there?
And then you got to get off.
Right.
Well, boy, it's so good to hear your voice, man.
But keep up the good work, and I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and have a safe holiday, and wish you all the best in 2026 coming up.
Thank you, Brother Muffin. The same to you. Many happy returns, buddy. Take care of yourself.
All right.
Roger. Yeah, man, that's my childhood good buddy, Mr. Muff Roll from Bamboo Town, the great Bamboo Town. It was plenty of us now. Me and him was two, but boy, it was plenty of us, and all us was smart, real easy. That's how we roll. Thank you for calling, Brother Muff. Ladies and gentlemen, again, you're listening to Maritime Matters. We have covered some topics, so let me just recap. And the word I like to use is recapitulate. That's a big word, right? Well, he ain't big no more, not to me anyhow. Employment of undocumented immigrants. And we have people who are undocumented, and, we just had this recent migration or migrants bill, which really, as far as I've been made to advise, because there's a lot of controversy, and I ain't trying to get into politics of it, because there's a lot of politics too, right? This mainly dealing with people who make an arrangement for migrants to be smuggled into our country. That's what that is geared toward. Because, you can't make the law apply to the migrant themselves. These people are who trying to escape to make a better way of life. Come on, man. Put another thing onto them saying, now they can get locked up. No. We had detention center to put people like that in. But now I said we don't need no detention center. Man, let them come in. Let them come in. But let's apply some laws to them who here, because they get over 100,000 here. What you worrying about the 70 or 80 or 200 we're trying to get here? You ain't got to worry about that. What you got to do is you got to put things in place so that even if they get here, they ain't too comfortable because they can't wait. Because the employers scared to hire them. Because the pressure on the employers, where they got to go to jail for 2 years. And ain't nobody want to go to Fox Hell for 1 day. And we got people who've been employing them now for decades, and I never see one lock up yet. When are we going to apply that law, Mr. Immigration Officer? When? Then we go down to the local safety certificate, right? We got a lot of vessels running around all over the place. They don't have the appropriate safety equipment. They don't have the appropriate certified persons to run those vessels. They don't have proper radios. They don't dry dock them vessels every 5 years and get a dry dock report to say the hull is still sound and all the rest of that. They don't be surveyed at all. So that's how we rolling with that. And that's a bunch of foolishness. So yeah, we need to get the BMA to implement that local safety certificate system so that all of these things can cut out, eh? Then we talk about the dilemma at Potter's Key Dock. We have a call? Caller, you're on Maritime Matters. Thank you so much for calling.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You're on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Top shape.
I hear you keep talking about immigration. Don't forget now, they knocked down the top immigration woman.
Well, I don't think she was the top, but she was somewhere near the top, right?
Right. So
I agree with you.
Anybody under her can try anything now, they didn't see what happened to her.
Well, the reality is you could, I'm not sure exactly if she get knocked down for trying to lock up some of these people who employ migrants. or she get logged on because some political things started to kick up and she became a victim, right? But either way, if you, let me tell you something. I worked on the defense force for many years, right? There were some situations where people was afraid to speak out because they figure, oh, you know, the boss ain't this and that and that. But I never was scared to speak out because if the law say something, I could question it. Now you have to give me some answers, or I could try my hand. My thing is when the law say people who employing undocumented people supposed to be fined $3,500 or go to jail for 2 years, or both. You telling me not one single immigration officer is going to approach that situation to make sure that law is being met?
I think not, because don't forget we got immigration officers that are of certain descent.
Yeah, but that ain't nothing to do with the ones that ain't of certain descent. My thing is at least one must could do it, eh?
I think they're scared. I think victimization is a big thing in the
man. I know, but victimization. And let me tell you something. When I was deputy port controller, people used to run to Tennyson Wells and Mother Pratt all the time. Oh, the Bain Felly trying to do his. And you know what they used to do? They used to call me, and they used to ask me, Captain Bain, what is the situation? And when I explained to them the law say this or the law, they used to tell me, okay, do your job. And I never used to have no problem from the politicians. See, you gotta know the law first of all and be prepared to apply the law. And the politicians don't stop you. I remember the jet ski situations, the Cable Beach Hotel. We had a foreign, this when the government owned the Cable Beach Hotel. And when I go on and we start having meetings and dealing with those jet ski guys to regularize them. You know what the fella tell me? He say, Mr. Bain. He said, oh, Mr. Bain, I'll tell you this. I want you to know that Prime Minister Ingram is watching you. And he's watching you to the extent that he is saying to me, he's happy to hear what you're doing, but he can't get involved because some of you people get mad with him.
But you were one of the very few. Now,
yeah, but I'm saying, but I still got it. See, a lot of us just accept that all the politicians could listen and all that. No, but it don't really be like that. When you try, see one thing with me now, I have to find out what's going on because if my book tell me I'm supposed to do that and I being paid to do that, somebody got to stop me at some point. Now, if I get stopped, then I can't do it. But I have never gotten stopped as a civil servant. So that's an excuse a lot of civil servants use.
Okay.
I can tell you this.
Remember when a certain talk show host said that if he get wind that the immigration's going on raid, he gonna call in and warn the people. That was treasonous and nothing happened to him.
I don't know if he
radio.
Yeah, but that treasonous to who? He's saying he can call and warn the people. If he get information, how could he get why should he be given information if he don't work in that area? Because if he getting it, maybe a lot of other people getting it too, right? Yeah, but I'm saying he could say whatever he wants to say. But what about the officer themselves who has a mandate and all of this foolishness going on and nobody even checking? Just like I say, look at road traffic. They're giving out all these bus license and taxi license and they never go to check and see if these vehicles are being operated properly by the right people and all the rest of that.
Right.
We have roadblocks for all kind of, we want to see, we better put some money in the treasury. But we never check to see if these people who drive in some of these commercial vehicles have the right to drive these commercial vehicles, or they violating government policy that say this is reserved for Bahamians only.
Right.
See, these are some of the things we got to start focusing on.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm reiterating in this show some of the things that I keep talking about, and nothing still ain't happening. Yes, sir?
Right.
Well, I thank you so much for your call, and please feel free to call at any time. And if you ever get information about anybody who employing an undocumented worker getting locked up or being put in court, please let me know.
Oh, that wouldn't be a problem.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you, man.
All right.
Take care. Not a wonderful call. How's my time winding down? Only 3 minutes left. My God, Kishno, how we get like this? Ladies and gentlemen, we're down to 3 minutes. And impact of cruise ships. Big topic that we're going to get to tonight. Maritime training for Bahamians. Huge. Renewable energy. Oh, we talk about that left, right, and center. Again, we ain't have time to talk about tonight. And if we ain't talk about it tonight, we ain't talk about it till 2026. Because this is our last show for 2025. So what are we going to talk about with the impact of cruise ships? We want to talk about the amount of new cruise ships surging so much. I mean, they're getting bigger and bigger, and they're getting more and more, and money pile up like dirt to the cruise ship that's billing. The amount of new port facilities they have in the Bahamas. Disney got one in Saudi Lutra, they just put there. Carnival got one they just put in east side of Grand Bahama with one dock holding 2 ships. Next year they got another dock to 2 more ships, 4 ships a day. I just found out on a plane ride the other day. I was going to Freeport. One of the contractors, and this fella from Wales, United Kingdom, not even he from Wales. Me and him had a long talk. And he told me that he's working on a project at Ocean Key that MSC is now building 2 additional cruise ship docks. You can imagine that. They have one that they had now for a couple of years, and now they figured out one ain't enough. We need 2 more docks. They got 3 ships every single day at Ocean Key for the next umpteen centuries. And you could tell me, we, the Bahamians, are just sitting down, doing nothing while all this development going on. We're not preparing any of our southeastern islands for cruise ships to come to them. And we could easily start a PPP, the public-private partnership, where we Bahamians can invest in these docks in each family island and own it 100%. And let's get a company to run it for us. And watch our monies grow. So we talking about cruise ships. We start with Morgan's Bluff. That almost ready to go. Now, Maritime Trainer, we ain't getting it this because our time done run out. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to Maritime Matters tonight. I wish to thank all those lovely callers. And they called in and they was hitting it. They was hitting it. And they have problems just like me. And that's why they call. Because we need to fix maritime in this country. So tonight, I was joined by my great producer, Mr. Kishno Jones. I was sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. I was sponsored also by 101 Pharmacy. And of course, Island Care Pharmacy up there in Freeport. And I say good night again to my good old Auntie May, 92 years and going stronger. She's going to be 93 within months. And I thank you, our faithful listener, for continuing to clock in to Maritime Matters. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I say good night, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and as you know, Maritime Matters, tick, 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 tick. Out. Woo! Nothing to live for.